If you want to fight and you want to send a contract, send one to me. I will take a few weeks break from living my retired life to kick the living out of a goofy, entitled dickhead like you. You know my name, Andrew Tate. Google it if you want to know more. Any day, anytime.
Andrew Tate just obliterated Jake Paul, calling him out for what he truly is, a walking circus act. Seriously, what was Jake thinking? That faking a fight and barely surviving against a 57-year-old Mike Tyson would somehow crown him as some kind of unstoppable boxing hero? Please. The delusion is off the charts. While Jake was busy inflating his own ego, Tate stepped in and dropped the hammer, the reality check everyone's been waiting for. Jake Paul isn't a fighter, he's a glorified meme in gloves. And Tate didn't. Stop with the insults. He put his money where his mouth is, slapping down a $3 million bet and daring Jake to back up his hype in the ring. According to Tate, Jake wouldn't even last a round. Andrew Tate, love him or hate him, is stepping into this like a combat legend in the making, here to expose Jake for exactly what he's worth. A big, fat zero. This wasn't just a challenge, it was a calculated dismantling of Jake's entire brand. Tate lit the fuse and torched the illusion, delivering that $3 million winner-takes-all bet not just with confidence, but with pure disdain for the circus Jake has turned boxing into. And honestly, it's about time someone pulled back the curtain. Music Jake Paul, with his oh-so-glorious 2-1 boxing record, had the audacity to square up against 57-year-old Mike Tyson, a living legend, and somehow walked away acting like he'd just conquered Mount Everest. But let's take a real look at Jake's so-called career. If avoiding legitimate fighters and cherry-picking opponents who are either retired or half his size was an Olympic event, Jake would have more gold than Michael Phelps. Even Gervonta Davis didn't mince words, saying, "I'd break Jake in half with one uppercut." And Dana White? He couldn't help but call out the painfully obvious, Jake only steps in the ring with opponents who pose about as much threat as a pre-fight warm-up. At this point, Jake's boxing journey feels less like a legacy in the making and more like a carefully curated highlight reel made for social media clout. And as for the UFC, they wouldn't let Jake through the doors even if he begged on his knees. When the pros won't even acknowledge you as a real fighter, that's not just a red flag. It's a neon sign flashing "fake" in all caps. Meanwhile, Andrew Tate dismantled Jake's entire existence in one savage takedown. "I'll come out of retirement just to turn you into pulp," Tate declared. And honestly, it's the most electrifying thing boxing has seen in years. Tate, a 4-time C-tier world kickboxing champion, isn't just a fighter, he's a gladiator. And when you stack that up against Jake's amateur hour YouTube theatrics, the difference couldn't be more glaring. Tate didn't hold back either. He labeled Jake as the poster boy for everything wrong with combat sports today. Fame over skill, spectacle over substance. And here's the brutal truth. When a retired fighter puffing on a cigar is more intimidating than you are at your so-called peak, you're not on top. You've hit rock bottom.
Keep going. Come on, work. Go. Work. Come on, Marcy. Keep going. Work.
The internet is having an absolute field day. Hashtags like Paul v. Tate and Jake the Clown are trending, and fans are piling on, waiting to see if Jake will actually step into the ring or just hide behind his overpaid PR machine. Because, let's be real, if Jake had even a shred of self-awareness, he'd realize this isn't just a challenge from Tate, it's a potential career-ending sentence. Tate stepping into the ring isn't some influencer stunt, it's a message. And if Jake answers it, he better be ready to face the consequences. Gloves off, legacy on the line.
Nobody's sitting down for good reason. We have not only world champions of the past, we have world champions of the present. There is a shield in the building.
we just take a moment to talk about the sheer absurdity of Jake's latest fight? A packed AT&T Stadium, 74,000 fans, streamed live on Netflix. Sounds like a blockbuster event, right? But what did everyone actually get? A 57-year-old Mike Tyson, barely mobile, basically carrying Jake through what felt more like a glorified sparring session than an actual fight. It was like ordering a 5-star meal and getting served a microwave. TV dinner. Yet somehow Jake strutted around afterward like he'd just won a world title. In reality, he managed to survive a few rounds with a legend who probably needed an ice bath and a nap before the bell even rang for round 2.
Andrew, fighter, legitimate, badass motherfucker, strong mentality. Sorry, Tristan Tate is the weak link.
I say let's
He got a bad shoulder. He's shaped like a gingerbread man. I don't want no beef, but that's delusion.
PFO will set this up.
A MMA double tag team match.
10 million for everybody.
You might have a fight. You might have a fight on.
Tate, however, didn't just call Jake out. He exposed him. I've been retired for 5 years, smoking cigars, and I'm still better prepared to fight than Jake with all his so-called training camps. He mocked. And honestly, he's not wrong. Jake's entire persona, flashing wealth, hyping up fights against aging legends, and pretending he's somehow reinventing boxing, is little more than smoke and mirrors. A hollow act dressed up in designer gear. Real fighters. Bleed, sweat, and sacrifice for their craft. They earn respect through grit and grind. Jake? He cashes in on the legacy of others, packages it for clicks, and calls it greatness. But Tate's not buying it, and neither is anyone who actually respects the sport. Jake
That would go crazy.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. No, seriously.
I'm
Let's
about
do
to
it.
action. Like I'm less talk now. Like let's just go.
Yo, but you know for a fact.
Case in point, his latest circus act of an idea, an MMA tag team match. Him and Logan versus Andrew and Tristan. Tate's response? Pure savage. Sure, 2 brothers versus 2 brothers if we're filming a comedy special. And honestly, he nailed it. Because that's exactly what Jake's career has become. A bad comedy. All flash, no substance. A highlight reel of hype, gimmicks, and empty victories, dressed up to look like something it's not.
He's shaped like a gingerbread man. I don't want no beef, but that's delusion.
PFO will set this up.
A MMA double tag team match.
10 million for everybody.
You might have a fight. You might have a fight on your hands.
That would go crazy.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. No, seriously.
I'm
Let's
about
do
to
it.
action. Like I'm less talk now. Like let's just fucking go.
Yo, but you know for a
Oh,
fact,
and let's not forget Logan.
me and Jake will
He didn't
travel to
exactly get off
Romania.
easy
We will
either.
make this happen. We'll do it
Tate
wherever you
roasted
want,
him
whatever
so hard
conditions
he
you
practically
want.
turned him into
2
a
brothers,
gingerbread man
1
with a busted shoulder. That's right. Logan went from wannabe warrior to walking punchline. Faster than Jake could throw another limp jab. You couldn't script this level of humiliation if you tried. It's not just a takedown. It's a full-blown roast session, and the Paul brothers are the main course.
You know what? I'm trying so hard to not start internet beefs. I'm really trying not to.
You could say Jake and Logan, man.
Bro,
Don't worry about it.
No, I can't lie. Bro, I'm going
Then
through
there's Jake's
life.
boxing
I'm
record.
trying to live
Or better
peaceful
yet,
now.
his
I've got
carefully curated
Fed agents
highlight
in my
reel of
house.
dodging real
Matrix is
fighters.
after me. I'm just
His
trying to
one
live
loss to
peaceful.
Tommy Fury? Absolutely hilarious. Fury wasn't even in peak condition, and he still managed to expose Jake for exactly what he is, an amateur playing dress-up in the ring. Of course, Jake tried to shake it off with his usual over-the-top bravado, but let's be real. It only made his delusion even more obvious. And that cringe-worthy attempt to roast Gervonta Davis by saying he's too short for Disney rides? That wasn't smack talk. It was straight-up playground nonsense. Jake's trying to play in a league of real fighters, but every move he makes just proves he's not even in the same arena.
Two brothers, 1 cage. Jake, Logan,
Fans didn't waste
you,
time
Tristan.
pointing out the
Who comes
obvious.
out alive?
Gervonta
You know what?
Davis
I'm
is
trying
a real
so
champion.
hard to not
The
start
kind who
internet
could
beefs.
dismantle Jake
I'm
Paul in a
really
matter of
trying
seconds.
not to.
But Andrew Tate wasn't about to let the moment pass either. He upped the stakes with a $3,000 million bet and daring Jake to step into the ring with him. If you think you're better, why not accept it? Tate asked. Simple question. But that's the thing. Jake knows the answer. He's not better. He's built an entire career on carefully avoiding anyone who poses a real threat. The moment the challenge gets real, so does the silence. Because Jake doesn't want to fight. He wants a show. And Tate? He's ready to end the act.
I'm trying to live peaceful now. I've got Fed agents in my house. Matrix is after me. I'm just trying to live peaceful.
It'll be a
but of
public
course, I have
execution.
absolute faith in myself and my
Tate
brother.
said it
And I
best.
know what we've been through, and I know the
One
kind of
punch, one round, and Jake's done. I'll tie an arm behind my back if that makes it fair. The image of Jake, flailing around, desperately trying to fend off Tate, is straight up comedy gold. But Tate wasn't finished. He even predicted how it would end. I'd line him up with a single uppercut and leave him in the El Sparco position. Just picture it, Jake Paul, folded like a lawn chair, laid out in front of thousands of fans. That visual alone, worth every cent of the ticket.
All he fights are old guys and whatever. But listen, say what you want, he wins and he makes money. So he's doing his thing, you know.
You just don't see it as a sustainable thing.
The contrast between these two
He
couldn't
fought
be
Tommy
more
Fury
glaring.
and lost.
Tate, a
Where's that
calculated,
rematch?
methodical fighter with years of experience and
Where's
discipline,
that rematch?
versus Jake, a social media personality who just happens to know how to throw a punch. Even retired boxing, champ Carl Froch couldn't stay silent. I'd knock Jake out in 30 seconds, and he said, and keep in mind Froch hasn't stepped in a ring in over a decade. That's not just trash talk. That's cold, hard truth. Froch's words cut to the core of what everyone already knows. Jake isn't built for this level of competition. He's playing a dangerous game in a world where guys like Tate don't just fight for views. They fight to dominate.
Jake Paul, it's clear to me you are desperate for a reality check. You know what? If I made my money impressing 4-year-olds on YouTube and managed to somehow become a multimillionaire from it, I'd probably live in a dream world too. But let me explain something to you about combat sports.
But Tate's
there are a whole
dominance
bunch of
isn't
men
just
out
physical,
here who will never
it's
be as famous as you, will never
He
make the
nailed
money
it when
you've
he
made,
said,
who would kick
I've
the
been
living
through wars.
out of
Jake's been through YouTube controversies. And that right there is the difference. Jake has spent his entire career building a carefully manufactured image of toughness, but put him in front of someone like Tate, and the cracks would start to show instantly. The mental game wouldn't even be close. Jake would be defeated before the first punch was ever thrown. Because when it comes to real pressure, real stakes, and real fighters, Jake's out of his depth, and Tate knows it.
This is the hardest sport in the world, and people dedicate their lives to this, and most of them never get a payday. It never pays off for the majority of fighters, who would you up. I'm one of the lucky ones. I made a little bit of money. I don't have 50 million to bet with you, but I do have 3 million to bet with you. So this is your offer. $3 million. You put 3, I put 3. Winner takes all. I'm 5 years out the ring. I'm a kickboxer. You're 2-0 in boxing. I'm 0-0
So
in
what's Jake
boxing.
going
I've
to
never
do?
even fought
Rise to the
boxing. I'm a
challenge or
retired
keep
old
hiding
man.
behind
5
his
years
usual
I've been sitting
smoke and
around
mirrors?
smoking cigars and
Tate's
bitches,
taunt
which are
cut
better
deep.
looking than the girl you're
Lose to
advertising
me
anyway.
instead of clinging to names like Mayweather or McGregor? And honestly, he's got a point. Jake's strategy of cherry-picking opponents to protect his fragile image is getting old. And fast. Fans aren't buying the act anymore. And the silence from Jake about Tate's $3 million offer? It's deafening. The internet's already spoken. Polls show 65% of fans backing Tate in a potential fight. At this point, Jake's refusal to even acknowledge the challenge is doing more damage than a knockout ever could. Because if he won't step up now, he's proving what Tate's been saying. All along, Jake's all bark and no bite. this potential fight is electric. Social media is on fire with nonstop memes, roasts, and call-outs flooding every platform. Fans aren't just watching anymore. They're demanding Jake either step up or finally admit defeat. And honestly, it's long overdue. Tate's challenge isn't just about proving who's the better fighter. It's about exposing the massive gap between a seasoned warrior and a poser playing dress-up in a boxing ring.
But he's fighting Tyson here, and him and Tyson are going to make a shitload of money,
A bunch of money.
and
So, Jake,
and good for both
balls
of them.
in your
You know what I
court.
mean? Good for
Step
both
up
of them.
and
Like I
face
said,
Tate, or keep running
Jake
and
Paul
prove
can
to the
fight.
world that you're
It's not like
exactly
Jake Paul
what he
can't
says
fight.
you are.
Yeah.
Jake Paul just
A
won't
clown
fight
who
him.
doesn't belong in the fight game. The harsh truth? Jake Paul has never truly understood what it means to be a real fighter. The dedication, the grueling training, the years of sacrifice without fame or fortune. That's a world he's never lived in. While real fighters grind for a fraction of his paycheck, Jake parades around, turning the sport into a sideshow. And Tate? He called it exactly as it is. A cheap, shallow spectacle built for clicks, not competition. Will Jake take the bait and accept the fight? Probably not. But one thing's certain. Andrew Tate didn't just issue a challenge. He humiliated Jake on a global stage. And honestly, Jake had it coming.